Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another week. We'll talk about Look Both Ways in the next story, which is called 5 Things Easier to Do Than Simeon and Kenzi's Secret Handshake. So those are our main characters for this story, Simeon and Kenzi. One of the characters is a very large young man. The other character is actually very small and petite. But there's something that is revealed at the end of the chapter that connects both of these individuals. But I do have a surprise for you. So I'm not going to ask you to answer reading comprehensions this week, and I'm not going to ask you to do a digging deeper or a thinking critically activity. We're going to change it up, and I'm going to give you the ability to be a little more creative, not only artistically, but through your own writing. And I'm going to have you write a piece of poetry. Now, for those of you that are rolling your eyes at me, freaking out, or already tapping out, well, okay, cool. Have fun with that, all right? Remember, I still have to put the low grade in the grade book. But for those of you that actually are willing to try and explore and open yourselves up and be a little vulnerable, it's a cool activity. But before we get to that piece of poetry and I explain what it is, I want to talk about the chapter for a moment. So as I said earlier, the name of the chapter is 5 Easier Things to Do Than Simeon Kenzi's Secret Handshake. And the theme of this chapter is finding connection even when there is pain. I don't think I need to tell you that it's pretty easy to open up your phone or open TikTok or Twitter or Instagram or turn on the news there's reasons to be upset. It's just it's the world we live in. And that's why I really adore this chapter, is because it is about finding someone who you do have deep connections with. Many of you on this campus have a connection with at least someone. Maybe it's another student, maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's an instructional assistant, maybe it's, a coach. But finding a connection when you're not doing so great. And like I said, the 2 characters that epitomize this connection are Simeon and Kenzi, and they do that through their handshake. Also, in this story, they don't live on the nicest of streets. A really good quote from early in the book is, most people tighten up when they walk down Chestnut. But for Kenzo and Simeon, this is where they could let loose. This is their home. This is their neighborhood. Other people might be a little timid or nervous about going down there, but not these 2 kids. I think another way to try to understand the street or Chestnut Avenue is that many people negatively stereotype the street as a dangerous or a quote-unquote bad place. But for these 2 boys, they see nothing but beauty. They know the shopkeepers. They know the people who work in the stores. And it demonstrates this close-knit and caring aspect, or this idea of community, where other people might tighten up. They feel at home because it is their home. The other thing that's really interesting about this chapter is that it is no accident that Mr. Reynolds wrote one of the characters to be large, huge, and the other character to be small, tiny. And like I said, with this exceedingly complex handshake between them. And ultimately, what Mr. Reynolds is trying to get us to pay attention to is that this symbolizes how, at least in this world, 2 total opposites can be joined. Though it's not always easy to understand how they connect. And we've seen these people. You've seen couples, or you've seen friends who are like, I don't really know why they're friends. I don't know why they're together. Seems like, they're complete opposites. But they do. They do fit. Another little tidbit is that the handshake is actual sign language. It's American Sign Language. And on Thursday for the Right, I will reveal what the handshake actually means. And then it is your responsibility, if you choose to accept it, to tell me why. Okay. Now, let's get to the piece of poetry. Presently, if Mr. Jacob or Mr. Ramirez has not handed this out already, after the either presently or at the end of the chapter, you will get a piece of paper. It's called a list poem. Okay. Now, I don't need you to write on this paper. You're going to be handed your own blank sheet of paper that you're going to do all your work on. Okay. But let me kind of run through what this list poem entails. A list poem is just that. It's a list of things, okay, that have something in common. And this kind of poem links ideas and images to a specific theme, and you get to pick what that theme is. Okay, remember, the title of the chapter is 5 things that are easier to do than a handshake. So here are your directions, okay? And again, if you have the paper in front of you, you can follow along. If you don't, you can read them after the video is over. When it comes to Kenzi and Simeon, some themes for your list poem could include friendship, loyalty, adversity or overcoming obstacles, imagination. So what I'm asking you to do is to think about one of those ideas or a unique idea of your own and create a list poem based on Chestnut Street. So how are we going to do that? Okay. Well, first, you're going to need time. You'll have all of the remaining class time on Tuesday, and you will have the entire period on Wednesday, and if you need it, additional time on Thursday. But again, as a reminder, I will assign the right for Thursday's class as well. Okay. Furthermore, it says, please take time to brainstorm ideas and examples to include in your poem. Then refine your ideas, adding imagery. Yes, you're going to draw pictures. Now, for those of you that are not artistically inclined and you're more creative using a computer, I will allow you to use Google Slides. So what I'm asking you to do is, much like your 6-word memoir, if you remember what we did at the beginning of the semester, to add pictures, visuals to go along with your poem. So the words would if you're going to use Google Slides, the words have to stand out on top of the picture. Okay, I need to be able to read what you write. That's fair. Okay. In addition, it says please write on a separate sheet of paper, but if you're using Google Slides, again, Google Slides will be the place where you will write down your words. Okay. What are you required to have in your poem? A title, a theme, or a subject. Okay, so friendship, loyalty, adversity, music, a connection to the story. Excuse me, that's number 3, a connection to the story. An example or two that links it to the text. So again, if you say this is easier than the handshake, well, how is it easier than the handshake? Okay. It says 2 uses of figurative language. I'm going to keep this very simple for you because we haven't really talked too much about figurative language, but I'm going to ask you to put in 2 similes. Now, if you remember from middle school, a simile is where you compare 2 things that are not alike using the words like or as. So, I am as tall as a giraffe. Okay, I'm not really that tall, but I like to think in my mind I'm pretty tall. You need at least 2 stanzas. So what is a stanza? A stanza is a collection of lines. So in total, you need at least 10 lines. Okay, 1 point per line, total 10 points. Okay, so 2 stanzas. Stanza number 1 will have 5 lines. Stanza number 2 will have 5 lines. 2 stanzas, 5 lines each equals 10 lines total. Okay, you write 10 lines, get you 10 points. Okay, super simple. There is an example. If you're looking at the paper, it's called Things I Love About Summer. And it says, cherry popsicles dripping down arms, leaves heavy with dew in the morning, thunderstorms rocking the house, shouting, swinging their fist. No school, no school, no school. Lazy mornings and rumpled pajamas until noon. starry night shining bright and full of insects singing. Time just to be. Time to just exist. Just be a human. Okay? So again, I'm going to change things up a little bit. Maybe this will encourage some of you who aren't turning in any work to actually maybe turn in something, because 12 more weeks until December. And then it is semester grades. And the amount of Fs are going up. So hopefully, you don't want to end the semester with an F. Remember, D minuses get your 5 credits. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, until then, see you next week. All right. Bye.